Welcome to Jackie Wall's studio, and thank you for joining me today for this Christmas popcorn garland tutorial. This is a great project for beginners, and it is simple to catch on to, and the supplies are easy to find. Here are the supplies that you will need. I will be using a Kernel Simply Soft party yarn today, and I have the appropriate hook for that right here. I just love how this has a bit of shimmer to it, and it adds a little bit more dazzle to those popcorn kernels. You can use whatever yarn that you choose, however, just make sure you have the appropriate sized hook. The other thing I have is a very small hook, and that is because we will need to pull that yarn through our beads. The other thing you can use is a big darning needle or an upholstery needle, as long as it fits through. And then here's another type that I have as well, with this little filament to pull your yarn through, and you can just bring that through. All right, the other thing you may need are some stitch markers, and I will show you why. Safety pins also work, and these are optional. However, it sometimes does make it easier to find that stitch on the next row. Here are the beads that I'll be using. I picked these up at a dollar store. They were on a string. I've just taken a few of them off, and I have them ready to go over here. So let's get started. First thing we need to do is to create a slip knot. So I'm going to leave quite a long tail because I don't know where this garland is going to go. I might want to tie it up somewhere. You could also do a string of chains if you need something a little thicker. I'm just going to create a slip knot. So I put my tail end down and I wrap over, take my hook, go underneath and pull the top one through that loop. And that is how I do a slip knot, but you can do it however you like. Now just make sure here, if you're leaving a long tail, that you're not going to start chaining with the tail, because that is not going to work out well. You need a lot of length depending on how many popcorns you want to have on your strand. Then we are going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go into that first chain, yarn over, come through and slip knot it, or slip stitch it, sorry. And then I have this hole to work for in this ring. All right, now to start our first popcorn kernel, we are going to start with a cluster stitch. So we are going to chain 2. And we're going to yarn over and go through the center of that ring, yarn over, come back through. Now I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, go through 2 of those loops. Now we're going to yarn over and go through the center of that ring again, yarn over, come through. I have 4 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, come through 2. Now normally a cluster stitch has 3 posts, I'll call them, 1, 2, 3, but I want my popcorn kernel to be extra puffy, so I'm going to yarn over again, and I'm going to do it one more time. Yarn over, come through, and go through 2. All right, so the first time I do a cluster with this chain of 2, I will have 4 loops on my hook, go through and come through, and there is our first cluster. When I first started with creating this design, I found it was a little bit hard to sometimes see that stitch on the next round. You'll see why in a minute. So I'm just going to put a stitch marker in there. I'm not even going to close it up because it's not going to be in there very long. Now let's do our next cluster because it's a little bit different when we're not starting with the 2 chains. So I'm going to yarn over, go through the center, yarn over, come through, yarn over, go through 2, 2 on my hook, yarn over, go through, yarn over, come through, 4 loops on my hook, go through 2, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, go through the center, yarn over, come through, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on my hook, come through, there's 4 loops, and to make it extra puffy, 1 more for my cluster, yarn over, go through, yarn over, come through, yarn over, go through 2 of those loops. I have 5 now on my hook, and I'm going to go through, yarn over and go through all 5 of those. And that is our second cluster. Once again, there is my next stitch, which can be hard to see, so I am just going to loop that in. All right, and let's do another cluster. Yarn over, go through, yarn over, come through 3, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, into the center, come through 4, go through 2, 3, yarn over, go through, yarn over, come through 5, yarn over, go through 2, that leaves 3, 1 more because the extra puffy, go through, yarn over, come through, go through 2, I'm going to have 5 on there, and go yarn over and go through all 3, or sorry, there were 5. All right, and here is that next stitch, top of the stitch, so we're going to put another stitch marker through and do the final cluster. All right, final cluster, yarn over, go through, yarn over, come through, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through the center, yarn over, come through 4 loops, yarn over, go through 2 loops, yarn over, go through, yarn over, come through, yarn over, go through 2. That's usually where you stop with the cluster, but we're going to make it extra puffy. Yarn over, go through, yarn over, come through, yarn over, go through 2, 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through all 5, and that is our final stitch for this row. I'm just going to put stitch marker in there, and then what you need to do is slip stitch into that first stitch right there that I had marked with the yellow stitch marker. So just yarn over, pull through there, yarn, and then just pull through that last stitch. So you're just completing that first round. Now, as you can see, it is a little bit difficult, but there we go. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches that we will be working into for this round. Okay, and I just slip stitched into that first one right there with my yellow stitch marker. So now what I want to do is chain 2, and this round is a little bit different because all of our clusters are going to start with a double with a 2 chain. Yarn over, go through that same spot. Now I'm just going to pull that out. Yarn over, come through. There we go. So I have 2 loops, but I have 2 posts already. Go through that same stitch that we worked that first slip stitch into, 4 loops, yarn over, go through 2, 3 loops on, yarn over one more time, go in, yarn over, come through, go through 2, yarn over, there's going to be 4 loops on my hook, yarn over and go through all 4. All right. Now the next thing we need to do is find that next stitch. It's right there with my red stitch marker, and I am just going to do a slip stitch right in there. So you have this puff. Okay, now I'm going to pull that red stitch marker out, and in that same stitch is where I'm going to work my next cluster, but I'm going to start with 2 chains, 1, 2, and then I am going to go back in where I just did that slip stitch and create another cluster. There we go. And remember, because we have 2 chains at the beginning, we're just going to end up with 4 loops on our hook this time. And I'm going to go through all 4 of those loops, and then I am going to put a slip stitch into where that dark blue stitch marker is, and that completes that puff. All right, so from that slip stitch, I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to take out this blue stitch marker. I'm going to yarn over, and where I put that slip stitch, go back in and work another cluster. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and our 4th post was our 2 chains. So now I have 4 loops on my hook, go through. That stitch is done, but now we want to go into that last spot and do a slip stitch. All right, and then chain 2. There we go. And then finish our last cluster, which yarn over, go through that same spot where we put the slip stitch, work that next cluster. One more because I wanted it extra puffy, so do what you want there, as many posts, I call them, as you want. Go through all 4. And now to end this row, I'm just going to slip stitch in either the same stitch that we've been working in or that first stitch. It doesn't really matter. There we go, and we are done that round. But to finish off, you need to close off this gap right here, or you're going to lose your bead in that gap. Now to close that off, from that slip stitch that I just finished, I'm going to put a chain. And then I'm going to go across so that I have 2 puffs on one side and 2 on the other. I'm going to go right in between those 2 puffs. And I am going to slip stitch, and I have completed my first popcorn kernel. And from here is where I am going to attach the first bead. All right, so now to attach the bead, I'm going to pull up a huge loop just because it makes it easier to work with. I'm going to grab my skinny hook. I'm going to put my bead on there. All right, and then I'm going to put some tension on that yarn, and I'm just going to pull the yarn through that bead. And there we have strung our first bead. Go back to my other hook. I'm just going to tighten this up. And I'm going to take that yarn from the popcorn and just slip stitch it right into that loop that is gone through that bead. All right, now we just repeat the same process. So I'm going to get you started. Here we go. We are going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go back into that first stitch. I'm going to slip stitch it, and there I've created my ring again. And I'm going to chain 2. Oh, that's no good. I got that tangled. Chain 2, and then work my cluster into that ring. Okay, so remember the first one, we already have 1 post there. So there's the second one, yarn over, go through the hole, yarn over, come through the center of the ring, yarn over, 3 on my hook. That's a regular cluster. I'm going to add 1 more. There we go. And now I have 4 on my hook, yarn over, go through. And then I am going to start my next cluster into the center of that ring. All right, so that next cluster, yarn over, go through that hole, yarn over, come through, 3 loops, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through the center of that hole, yarn over, come through, 4 loops, go through 2, yarn over, go through, yarn over, come through, yarn over, go through. Normally that's a regular cluster stitch. Going to do 1 more for the extra puff and go through, come up, go through. I have 5 loops on my hook, go through all 5 and start my next cluster. Now sometimes what I find is I have to drop that, and then there we go. It's easier for me to see the center of that ring if I just shift that a bit. Okay, let's do the last 2 clusters. So there's my hole. There we go, through 2, yarn over, there we go, through 2, yarn over, there we go, through 2, yarn over, 1 more time because I want it extra puffy. So I have 5 loops, go through. Now I'm not going to mark those stitches. I see them right here, 1 and 2. If you need to mark them, just continue to mark them so that you don't get frustrated. All right, now yarn over. Oops, sorry, I need to pull out some yarn here. There we go. All right, so yarn over through the center, come up through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over through the center, yarn over, come through 2, 4 loops, normal cluster, 1 more just because we want to be a little puffier, 5 loops, go through all 5. Now let's do the last one. 2, 3, oops, went through too many, there we go, 4, 5 loops, go through all 5, and then find my top of my first stitch right there, slip stitch through. And that is the top of my next popcorn kernel. Okay, let's finish the second round. So I have slip stitched into the first round, and I am going to chain 2, and then in that same spot I am going to work another cluster. So 1, 2, 3 more times, so that I have 4 posts, I've been calling them, and 4 loops, and then go through and then slip stitch into the next stitch to create our first of 4 little puffs. And for the next puff, we do 2 more chains and then work a cluster into that stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4 loops, and go through and then into the next stitch, slip stitch, chain 2, and into that same stitch work another cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4 loops, and then go through, and then I will slip stitch into the final stitch right there, and I will chain 2 in that same spot, work my final cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4 posts and 4 loops, and go through all, and then I'm going to slip stitch that into the first stitch. Now to close that gap, I'm going to chain, and I'm going to come over between those 2 puffs. So I have 2 puffs on one side, 2 puffs on the other, and then I am going to slip stitch into that chain, and then I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to add another bead. And there you go. You just keep doing that for as much length as you would like for your garland. Thank you for watching, and remember, just keep creating.